Oh boy. Right. So I can hear the music, but I don't know if everyone else can. Hmm. Why? Why is it like this? Why are you like this? Like, this is what makes no sense to me. I thought I solved the problem, but clearly I haven't. Ah. Yeah, hi Jean-Luc, we're back, but the problem is like I thought I missed a part when I streamed earlier, so I said, okay, okay, we're going to stop screen sharing, share the screen and share audio, right? Like okay. But then when I click to, share a different tab, it won't give me that option. So then it's not showing like what's going on. And like it's not like it's being accidentally muted or anything like that. It's just not playing for some reason and I don't understand why. Ah. Yeah, this is the frustrating part. Ah. That's a piss off. That is an absolute piss off. It should be working. Okay, okay. Let's see if it's just Chrome being stupid. Okay, we're gonna okay. Let's try screen sharing again, but we'll share from the main screen. Is there a way to feed in system sound as a whole? I am not sure. This is why it's all crazy. So like people should be able to see my like restream IO thing. So this is what I'd like to know if people can actually hear this. Bad mother. Because like it's showing that I'm sharing it from this. So it should be working. Okay, so people can hear it when it's just the... This makes no sense though, because if I want to do the same thing, right? Like share screen and share audio, but if I want to share it from like... Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so I think it'll let me do this, but I have to individually select the tabs, which is going to be annoying. Okay. Can people see and hear this?
Goodbye, 2020. Despite how farcically atrocious this year has been, I hope that this series has shown you that through it all, we have been pushing the struggle forward. Even in our lowest points this year, we have seized on opportunities to catalyze rapid change and to push forward public discourse on major issues. So let's leave this year on a high note, honoring what our comrades have been able to do internationally in this final month.
I think it's working now.
Cursed year. In arguably the largest strike in human history,
finally.
250 million workers and farmers shut down India over the fascist Modi government's new liberalized agriculture laws, which they say would leave them poverty-stricken and at the...
Okay, so what we're gonna do, like, give me a second. We're all going to listen to some dope jams for a hot second while I like put all this on the actual Twitter socials, because I didn't want to say, hey, I'm streaming, and then have it still be scuffed again. So thank you for everyone who's tuning in here right now. We're gonna play some jams for you, and we're gonna have a bit of fun with this. Yeah, share a specific tab, because god damn. Ugh. All right, give me a minute. Enjoy dope lo-fi jams. Okay, there we go. And we all respect Cowboy Bebop in this house. God, what an ordeal. Today's been a kind of day. Doing tonight, by the way? Y'all doing good? Peace, love, and power? Hell yeah. Okay, this should be I'm not sure if that's it, but that's all the places I want to post it right now. Oh, right, and Facebook. Good old Facebook that I forget about half the time.
Bad mother!
Come on. Okay. So this is good. All right, and perfect timing. The song's ending. Okay, so finally, goddamn, finally. I wanted to share this video, if it will let me do the thing again. Boy, howdy, this is annoying. Yes, largest strike in history, because we wanted relatively good news. We're also going to showcase some YouTubers and streamers who are very near and dear to my heart because they've been big advocates of mine since early on. But first off, this. So
points this year, we have seized on opportunities to catalyze rapid change and to push forward public discourse on major issues. So let's leave this year on a high note, honoring what our comrades have been able to do internationally in this final month of the most cursed year. In arguably the largest strike in human history, 250 million workers and farmers shut down India over the fascist Modi government's new liberalized agriculture laws, which they say would leave them poverty-stricken and at the mercy of corporations. Farmers make up 40% of the population in India, which famously has one of the highest rates of farmer suicide in the world. Organized by 10 trade unions and supported by the Indian National Congress, the Communist Party of India, and other left-wing parties, days. The strike converged with the march to New Delhi, where hundreds of thousands of people remained camped out for weeks. They've refused to leave until the government meets their demands, including repealing the anti-farmer and anti-worker agricultural reforms, providing direct cash transfers to all families who earn less than the income tax threshold, providing 10 kilograms of grain per person each month to all in need, providing pensions for all, and stopping the privatization of public services, among other things. As talks with the government have thus far failed, farmers are calling for another national strike and for protests to intensify. As one farmer yelled to police at the barricades around New Delhi, "This is a revolution, sir." The VP of an Apple supplier in India was also removed this month after workers who had not been paid for their labor trashed the place, causing millions in damage. Trying to put out the fire, the company...
One thing I will say about this story, though, is that, like, it's good that they're going to hopefully help the workers, but it could easily just be that firing the VP and saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to fix things," is just a way of saying, "Okay, story's done," and hoping that we then stop paying attention, and then they just get to go back to abusing. So I think we still need to pay a bit of attention to this and see where it goes, because if the VP just ends up being the fall guy and nothing systemic has changed, that's a problem.
Wistron fired the VP and said that its top priority is to ensure all workers are fully compensated immediately. They also established an employees assistance program for workers at the facility. In Brazil, an unhoused people's occupation in Fortaleza, Ceará, successfully forced the government to construct homes for the 85 families involved. The occupation, named Occupation Carlos Marighella, in honor of the Brazilian Marxist-Leninist politician and guerrilla fighter, was previously a tent encampment in an abandoned area. But after being evicted last month, the group mobilized and occupied the mayor's party headquarters, forcing the mayor to recognize their rights to safe shelter. The municipality is now getting to work on building them homes using materials that were obtained by activists of their own initiative or donated from people in solidarity with the cause. Housing is a human right, and no family should have to go to these lengths to access it. San Francisco voters overwhelmingly voted for a new law that will levy a 0.1% tax on companies that pay their CEO more than 100 times the median of their workforce. The tax increases by 0.1 percentage point for each factor of 100 that a CEO is paid above the median, up to a maximum of 0.6%. And yes, there are many executives making more than 600 times the median wage of their workforce. Space Karen last year made 10,000 times the firm's median salary. Unfucking believable. We're going to need a lot more than this tax to redress this, but it's a small and welcome step in bringing light to this sick exploitation. In a victory for organizers and workers, 15 municipalities in the Netherlands voted to raise the minimum wage to 14 euros per hour, and several others have joined the fight in their own local districts. This will improve conditions significantly for essential workers. Argentina is taxing the rich to support poor communities and fight COVID-19. Congress passed a one-time tax of 2% for people with assets over 2.4 million, and the revenue generated will pay for supplies to fight the virus and help small businesses and low-income neighborhoods. And due to a successful public pressure campaign, President Jokowi has declared that the COVID vaccine will be free for all Indonesians. Fantastic news.
I mean, the fact that
now
he had
Bill
to be
Gates
pressured
can
into
track
that
them
is
all,
bad,
and that will help the left in some way. For real though, healthcare of course should be a human right for all, not a luxury of the super rich. Workers at Verso Books have organized and unionized, joining the Washington-Baltimore News Guild, a unit of the News Guild and the Communications Workers of America. The move formalizes the policies that staff have organized around for the last several years, including salary banding and a democratic decision-making process. Workers at an Amazon warehouse in Alabama have notified the National Labor Relations Board that they want to hold a unionization vote to cover 1,500 full and part-time workers. This isn't a win yet, but we'll keep our eyes on this because it could set an enormous precedent. While European Amazon workers tend to be unionized, the company has fought off and discouraged unionization across America, so this would be the first ever labor unionization at a U.S. Amazon facility. As well, Amazon workers in 6 different locations across Germany have been striking since Black Friday. They decided to extend their strike until Christmas, a effectively debilitating the corporation in the lead up to the holidays. Again, this is not a win yet, but fantastic show of solidarity among workers nationwide, which we'll be watching closely. After tens of thousands of people in cities across France erupted in protest, Macron's government was forced to withdraw a draft bill that would prohibit protesters from filming police in action. Article 24 of the bill would have criminalized the publication of images of on-duty police officers, and offenders would have faced sentences of up to a year in jail and fines of 45,000 euros. As we all know, having the freedom to document abuse from the armed protectors of private property is essential, particularly in light of the systemic racism inherent in the institution. The controversy intensified after police in France were caught on video brutally beating up a black man and forcibly removing a migrant camp in central Paris. Following the protests with the bill dropped, 4 police officers were charged with assault and 3 were charged with fabricating their statement on the incident. In an extremely rare move, a so-called forever prisoner at Guantanamo Bay, who has been locked up for 18 years without ever being criminally charged, has been cleared for release. It's no secret that Gitmo is an extrajudicial hellspace where people are stripped of all rights and held without evidence or charge, which is what happened to Saeed Nashir, a Yemeni man in his 40s accused of being an Al-Qaeda operative. Guantanamo's periodic review board, which functions like a parole board, said he is not a significant threat to the United States. Surprise, surprise. He is only the second Guantanamo prisoner to be approved for release during the Trump administration, and the first to be cleared through this parole-like process. Big shout out to Elliot Page, who came out as transgender this month and brought attention to many of the systemic issues still facing trans people. This representation in popular culture is incredibly important, and possibly millions of men are now realizing that they can, in fact, have a crush on a man. A slew of pro-LGBTQ legislation was passed this month across the world. In Switzerland, lawmakers voted to legalize same-sex marriage and to allow transgender people to change their legal gender by making a declaration at a civil registry office. The Kingdom of Bhutan officially decriminalized homosexuality. The country is famous for its Gross National Happiness Index, which they use as an alternative to gross domestic product, and the recognition of the rights of LGBTQ people seems pretty pivotal to such an index. The Constitutional Court of Romania ruled that the law prohibiting education about gender identity is unconstitutional, opening the door for kids to learn about the fluidity of gender identity and to feel confident in expressing their own. And finally, Bolivia has approved the first same-sex union. While same-sex marriage is still illegal, Bolivian activists believe that this union and others like it will pave the way for an overhaul of the country's marriage laws. And another huge shout out to Eric, Sophia, and Natalie, who raised over 51,000 pounds for trans healthcare in the UK this month.
Hi Mexi, hi Positive Leftist News.
Yeah, I'm hoping some other people were aware of this because it was kind of like a thing that some people were hearing about and constantly being raided into that night or that weekend in general. But yeah, great cause. I'm not sure if they're still accepting donations for it. I'm assuming they are, just not as part of but I don't want to spoil part of the story, but there was like a nice, interesting development that happened. But it's really good news. I even donated a little bit to this. So if anyone's got the time and any leftover holiday money, it's a great cause. Go support them.
Last month, UK transphobes manipulated the UK court system into ruling that under 16s couldn't consent to puberty blockers. Puberty blockers, if you don't know, are a harmless medication that just puts puberty on hold so that trans kids can get the right hormones after they turn 16, because going through the wrong puberty is a really horrifying ordeal that drives a lot of kids to despair. Unfortunately, as I said, transphobes manipulated the UK court system into ruling that under 16s couldn't consent to this medication, so the Tavistock Centre, the only NHS centre in the UK that is treating trans kids, was ringing up trans kids and taking them off prescriptions they were already on. It was really messed up. So in response to this, on Twitter I said I would do a fundraiser stream to pay directly for trans kids' treatment, and I said I would keep going until I raised £10,000. I found out that Gender GP he, a private medical practitioner in the UK, had set up a fund to do this, give money directly to pay for the treatment of trans kids. After that, I got busy with the video and I forgot to plan anything, but it came around, so I had to pick some stuff. I decided to play Hades. I said because being trans in the UK is like being in hell, appropriate. We just kind of started doing it. I cut together a quick trailer that I put on my channel. These hateful, sad people aren't going to stop trying to make us disappear, but we aren't going to. Come watch, share, and donate to the Hades stream for hope. A lot of people turned up. We hit the £10,000 goal within the first 3 hours of the weekend, but we still had 3 days to go. So
Awesome.
We ended up raising £50,000 instead. And not only that, but during the stream, Dr. Helen Weberly, the founder of Gender GP, showed up and pledged that Gender GP would match our donations in kind. That doesn't mean that they'll give their money, but it means that they, for every hour of a doctor's time that we can pay for, they'll make sure it's 2 hours. They'll double the amount of treatment, the amount of service, the healthcare that goes to those kids. So effectively, it's worth a lot more than what we actually raised. The really good news here is that according to the statistics I've heard, there were only about 100 kids who were on puberty blocker prescriptions already who have been threatened by this Tavistock decision, and the money we've raised with Gender GP's pledge should cover the treatment of all of them. So we may well have made the court decision redundant while other people are working to overturn it. If you want to check...
That is power. That is solidarity. That is praxis. That is all those good, amazing things. Like, feels so good. That's the good news right there.
Out the Good Law Project. They're kind of like the SPLC, but in the UK. They're fighting to do a lot of social justice good in the UK, and for example, they're fighting to overturn that decision. It was a really cool weekend. We had the writer of Hades come on. We had a couple of the other voice actors. In total, we ended up with 4 of the characters from Hades all saying trans rights, some of them saying F-TERFs. And besides that, we just had a cool time doing it. So that's some positive leftist news for you all. Enjoy the show.
In yet another humiliation for Trump, a federal judge has ordered his administration to fully restore the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, which protects undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children from deportation. For the first time since 2017, the program will be open to new applicants. The judge also ordered officials to grant approved applicants 2-year work permits instead of the 1-year period proposed by the Trump administration. Approximately 1 million children and teens now qualify for DACA and can soon apply to the program. This month, the Argentinian feminist movement's decades of tireless work finally paid off, with Argentina set to become the first major Latin American country to legalize abortion. The lower house passed the bill after a 20-hour debate. It now moves on to the Senate, which is expected to clear the bill in the final days of December. So by the time you are watching this, Argentina will have made history. Deborah Diniz, a prominent reproductive rights activist from Brazil, said that the decision would have a contagion effect, and she doesn't have the slightest doubt other countries could follow Argentina's lead. This is wonderful news for all people with uteruses in Latin America, where millions of covert and unsafe abortions are conducted each year. And France is in the process of extending the time frame for legal abortions from 12 to 14 weeks. The bill has been approved and is supported by the Ethics Committee formed by the government, and it will move to the Senate in January. According to the Ethics Committee's report, 1,500 to 2,000 French pregnant people are getting abortions abroad each year due to the 12-week limit, such as in Spain, the Netherlands, or the UK, where the limit is 22 weeks. This statistic doesn't include everyone that can't afford such a trip and who try to abort illegally or themselves, which is incredibly dangerous. An indigenous land back movement in New Zealand made progress this month. Ihumatao, a sacred site in South Auckland, was seized from the Maori in 1863 and sold to Fletcher Building in 2016. It was slated for private development until the intervention of Maori activists and allies, who staged a peaceful occupation at the site for more than 500 days. Because of their incredible effort, the Labour government agreed to buy the land back from Fletcher Building to the tune of about $30 $30 million. Although the government is not currently giving the land back to the Maori as it should, the land is now slated to be used for public housing along with space for heritage and cultural activities for the benefit of the area's Maori community. The Australian Federal Court has overturned Environment Minister Susan Lay's decision to reject an appeal for the protection of 6 sacred trees in the path of a highway upgrade in Victoria. The appeal for protection was made by the Jab Wurrung Heritage Protection Embassy, an Indigenous organization founded specifically to protect sacred trees that have been an integral part of the Jab Wurrung people's birthing traditions for over 50 generations. The trees themselves are over 800 years old, and their lives and cultural significance are immeasurable. Bolivia hosted a Congress of Latin American social movements chaired by Evo Morales. They aim to lead the unification and liberation of the continent on the basis of plurinationalism to reflect the diversity of the cultures of the people. Indigenous and social movement leaders from Peru, Colombia, Guatemala, Venezuela, and Brazil participated in this 2-day conference. The Confederación de Nacionalidades Indígenas del Ecuador say that neoliberal governments are scared because the indigenous people of the Americas are uniting. Fucking right. And after years of protests from indigenous groups and fans, Cleveland's baseball team will finally drop its racist name. Many fans praised the move, while Orange Man decried it as cancel culture at work. Except nobody is canceling the team, dude. Just the racism. The Mexican government has passed a law that curtails the DEA's action in their country. Given that the DEA has been a corrupt imperialist force in the country responsible for countless deadly and botched operations, this is wonderful news for the people of Mexico. Essentially, the legislation strips DEA agents of diplomatic immunity and forces agents from the DEA, FBI, and other agencies to submit whatever intelligence they collect to Mexican officials. Even phone calls and texts between U.S. agents and Mexican officials will receive written reports sent to multiple government departments. The DEA's former chief of international operations, Mike Vigil, said the big winners in this entire process are the cartels, who have to be celebrating with this convoluted and disastrous outcome. Sadly, the Mexican government is shooting itself in the foot. Please, Mike, you are just pissed that you can no longer use Mexico as a playground for your organization's own organized crime. The DEA has ruined countless lives at home and abroad and should be abolished. Although millions of people around the world wear prosthetic limbs, comfort, functionality, and cost remain huge barriers to access. They can go from $5,000 to $120,000, which is one of the major reasons why many of those without an upper limb choose not to wear a prosthetic. Now, thanks to 3D printing and open source community building, innovative workers are helping those without limbs sidestep large profit-seeking companies by linking them with a network of smaller workshops. The organization heading up this project, My Human Kit, allows people to co-design their own artificial limbs at a
Again, that's how you use the current system to maximum possible effect. They're bypassing all these terrible big companies and, producing their own 3D printed and scalable models for a fraction of the price. This is the good stuff right here. This is what keeps me excited and, what happens next? I love this stuff.
Fraction of the typical cost and produces them at a much faster rate, which is particularly helpful for kids who quickly outgrow their prosthetics. In another 2020 surprise, the US Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the religious freedom of a group of Muslims. The men argued that their religious freedom was being infringed upon when the FBI placed them on no-fly lists, not because they were suspected of being involved in criminal activity, but simply because the feds wanted to punish them for not agreeing to become undercover informants, something they have forced countless Muslim Americans to do under duress. The Supreme Court ruled that the 3 men can now sue the FBI for damages, which sets a great precedent for Muslim Americans and other religious minorities. A bill supporting the right to a dignified death in Spain has passed the lower house. It will be debated in the Senate and could become law early in 2021. This would make Spain the 6th country in the world and the 4th in the EU to allow people who are suffering from serious incurable conditions to request and receive assistance to end their lives.
So, on that notion of the story, I'm assuming all of y'all remember that video I did a while ago about the medical assistance in dying or MAID legislation here in Canada. It's kind of imperfect and really sketchy how it currently sits, especially with how it treats or is, at risk of treating disabled people. That, is a big issue and worry in terms of what this means for the legislation in Spain. Is it like Canada's legislation, in which case it'll certainly need a lot of work, or is it actually sensible? I guess we'll find out after the Spanish Senate debates it. So try and keep your ear to the ground and see what happens. But like ostensibly a good thing that is starting. It's just about the implementation that we should be a little nervous about.
In Puerto Rico, voters dealt their two-party system a blow last month as a newly formed anti-neoliberal party advocating for the Citizens' Victory Movement and the Progressive Independence Party captured a combined vote of 28%, an historic turnout. Although the PNP ended up winning, the two established neoliberal parties' favor dropped significantly. The new leftist party was formed after mass protests unseated Governor Ricardo Rossello representing the PNP. Puerto Ricans also voted for statehood again during a referendum on the subject, so pressure needs to be mounted on Congress to finally remove Puerto Rico from its colonial status. And in Kerala, India, the communist state praised for its remarkable handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Local body elections this month saw the Left Democratic Front winning more seats than all of the opposition parties combined, despite the virulent attacks from the fascist Modi government's party, BJP, and the center-right Indian National Congress, who controlled the media narrative and refused to report positively on all of the gains made for workers under the Left Democratic Front, including the creation of 34 new public schools and the building of 250,000 homes for working people. One of the candidates to win her seat is
Wait, sorry. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I was not paying attention. I was enthralled by those anarcho-communist dancers, like with the waving Che Guevara flag or banner in the background. That was just dope. Like that's the kind of, nice little extra touches of artistry and culture that I love to see from leftists around the world. I just love that. And I think I know this next story. It's about like the young Marxist Leninist, basically a teenager who's now been elected a mayor of a town or a city in India. So good for her. She's living her best life.
21-year-old Araya Rajendran, the youngest mayor of a major city in the world. She said local bodies are the nerves of the democratic process of Kerala. It is important that we have young people committed to the cause of democracy being elected to office. It is through local office that we can make sure that everyone benefits from the left alternative being developed in the state. Boris Johnson is a complete asshole, and surely this is a political calculation, but the UK has announced that it will end subsidies for fossil fuel projects abroad. The UK is an important source of funds for fossil fuel projects overseas, often providing loans to British companies involved or underwriting loans from British banks. Britain has supplied £21 billion to overseas oil and gas projects in the last 4 years, and an end to this is more than welcomed. Denmark has announced it will end all new oil and gas exploration in the North Sea as part of their plan to stop fossil fuel extraction by 2050. Denmark is currently the largest oil producer in the EU, although it produces much less than non-EU members Norway or the UK. Denmark's climate minister announced we are now putting a final end to the fossil era. And I wanted to end once again with the cutest news of all, the fantastic conservation stories of 2020. This year has been devastating for human populations reliant on a cruel and dysfunctional capitalist system that cannot support people through crises. The capital slowdown has helped a lot of our non-human relatives as travel and tourism has declined. I talked last month about the baby Ridley sea turtles in the Gulf of Mexico, but this year also saw scientists describing a new species of mouse lemur in Madagascar, where lemurs have been extremely endangered for some time now, with 98% of species threatened with extinction. This new species was first discovered in 2006 but was not fully understood or described until now. Scientists also rediscovered a chameleon that was last seen 100 years ago. Researchers wrote, "Our planet is probably facing the beginning of an enormous extinction of species, often referred to as the sixth mass extinction, the Holocene extinction, or the Anthropocene extinction. Rediscoveries of lost species are very important as they provide crucial data for conservation measures and also bring some hope amidst the biodiversity crisis." Wild Highland singing dogs, thought to be extinct in Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, have also been found surviving and thriving. Scientists haven't seen these dogs in the wild since the 1970s. And Tasmanian devils, which were eradicated from mainland Australia, have made a small comeback in the state of New South Wales. The organization Aussie Ark reintroduced 26 little devils into state forests. Tim Faulkner, president of Aussie Arc, said not only is this the reintroduction of one of Australia's beloved animals, but of an animal that will engineer the entire environment around it, restoring and rebalancing our forest ecology after centuries of devastation from introduced foxes and cats and other invasive predators. Because of this reintroduction and all of the hard work leading up to it, someday we will see Tasmanian devils living throughout the Great Eastern Forest as they did 3,000 years ago. Comrades, if you have good news to share from the current month, please send your stories to veganvanguardpodcast@gmail.com or at me at MexiYT on Twitter. Thank you to Javi for the positive news jams, thank you to Halcyon for the positive news background, and thank you to Tristan for editing this video. Special thanks, of course, to my patrons who make the show possible. If you would like to become a sustaining member, please sign up on Patreon. The link is in the description box of the video below. You can also provide a one-time payment via PayPal or simply share these videos with friends, family, or give us a like, a comment, and subscribe to increase our reach. Any form of support is greatly appreciated. Take care, comrades, and I will see you in another video.
So there we go. Some good positive news. There's no way this is still live now. Yeah, no, it ended. So, okay. Alrighty then. Next up, and hopefully that came through clear for everyone. Seems like no one's commenting anymore, so I'm assuming that meant we're all watching. So yeah, even though the scuffed stream was earlier, we raided into Tristan because he was streaming on Twitch, and yeah, he's cool. You should definitely go support his channel. He's got two main ones. There's Step Back History, and then there's also Tristan Won't Shut Up, which is his new side project, and it's pretty good. It's very informative. Some of the videos are pretty long form, but again, he's a professional historian and YouTuber. He finds a way to make it great. So next up, let me just see here. Yes, okay. Next up, we are going to come on, do the screen share thing, you stupid machine. Okay. All right. So I don't know how many people know of Cristo Avalis, but he was actually one of the first people, never mind, being a fairly respectably sized YouTuber and Canadian YouTuber. He was one of the first people to follow me, like I think in like the first 100 or so on Twitter, and promote me and offer tips, and brought the whole no comrades under 1K thing to my attention, which I used, and he helped reblog some tweets that mentioned me to help get me to 1K. So I'm very thankful to Cristo for all his help in supporting me and this experience, I guess we can call it. So for that, we're gonna drive some traffic. So while he is Canadian, he obviously, for the algorithm, does a lot of US news, and boy howdy, there's a lot of US news these days. Oh, you didn't want to spam? Everything's still sounding good here. That is awesome to know. Thank you, Tara. So what are people thinking in terms of which Cristo video we want to watch? Like, knowing him, they're all pretty good commentary. Like if we're looking for like a good news story, there's some good stuff here. So yeah, which of the Cristo videos do people want to see? What are we feeling, chat? Which of these lovely things here do we want to see from Cristo? So especially something that's like good, right? We're trying to keep the good news, good vibes for 2021 going. So like Bernie destroys Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell just being a terrible turtle. Trump supporting Bernie's filibuster. The GOP officials suing Mike Pence. The New York Post telling Trump to give up. Like, there's some good ones here. I'm torn between which one of these I want to choose, and let's go with You know what? I'm always down with watching Bernie destroy people.
And let me just make it clear for the majority leader that 10 out of the poorest 25 counties in the United States of America are located in Kentucky. So maybe my colleague, the majority leader, might want to get on the phone and start talking to working families in Kentucky and find out how they feel about the need for immediate help in terms of a $2,000 check per adult.
This man could have been your
and
president.
I have the strong feeling that the people of Kentucky will respond no differently than the people of Vermont or New York.
So that was Bernie Sanders absolutely roasting Mitch McConnell in the Senate today over his opposition to the $2,000 stimulus check bill supported by Bernie and the Democrats and by Donald Trump himself. And he notes specifically that you're not just hurting the working class people all over the United States, but you're specifically causing harm to your own people in Kentucky. Mitch McConnell is Senate Majority Leader, but he is one of the two senators from Kentucky. And as Bernie notes, 10 of the 25 poorest counties in the entire United States are in Kentucky. There are 50 states, and 40% of the poorest 25 districts are in one of those states, Kentucky. And that means that in many ways, Kentucky is one of the poorest, most unequal states in all of the country, with poor education and opportunity outcomes for many working class people in that state. And so while this matters to every working class person, and while a majority of people would stand to benefit in every state, states like Kentucky and other conservative states in the South may benefit more than many states like Vermont and other northern bluer states. And I think what this shows is that the senators that represent a lot of conservative areas don't actually represent the interests of their people. And look, I think corporate Democrats don't really represent the interest of their people either. Dianne Feinstein and, all of these neoliberal ghouls from the Democrats, they don't represent the people of their states, but especially people like Mitch McConnell. They know their people are poor. They know their people are hungry. They know their people have bad educations. They know their people have all of these lack of opportunities, even in comparison to other Americans, and they don't care because they want their tax cuts for the rich. They want their conservative judges, and nothing else matters. And so Bernie is drawing the line very clear here. Mitch McConnell, who has complained about blue state bailouts and how the red states are helping the blue states during the COVID pandemic and what have you, the chips are actually down right now. These $2,000 stimulus checks disproportionately will have a bigger impact in the reddest states. States like Kentucky, the state that elected Mitch McConnell. Again, this is masterful politics by Bernie because he really does this in a way that is not condescending. Because often when Democrats attack red states for being poor, they do so in a way that feeds into stereotypes. Like they do it and then they talk about quote unquote trailer trash, or they talk about quote unquote hicks, or they talk about quote unquote people that marry their cousins, and they feed into these ugly classist stereotypes. Whereas Bernie is making it very clear there are working class people struggling in these states, working hard, doing everything they can to survive, and the people representing them are failing. And that's Mitch McConnell. He is failing his own people. And it's unacceptable. And it's also masterful politics from Bernie because earlier on in this meeting, before this, he basically blew up the tweet of Trump and put it on the Senate floor saying, look, I'm not a big ally of Donald Trump, but he's right here and he's exposing his own Republican Party's hatred of the working class. I'm going to play that clip just real quick.
Deserve help.
Nice.
And they deserve a $2,000 check. And as Senator Schumer just indicated, we have a very unlikely ally in President Trump. Nobody here has disagreed with Trump more times than I have. And yet here is what the leader of the Republican Party says. He says $2,000 ASAP. So
ultimately, guys, Bernie Sanders is fighting for the working class more than anyone else. He's not the only one. I've been pleasantly surprised by Chuck Schumer being on the floor, helping with this, Ed Markey as well. There are, of course, a lot of good Democrats in the House, like AOC and so many others. But once again, when the working class needs a champion, who's the one first front row center? It's Bernie Sanders. I can tell you one thing. It's a good thing Joe Biden beat Donald Trump, but it's a tragedy that that man won't be president.
That's a very good way of putting it. Oh, right. This reminds me of something. Right. So, at our last stream, like a week ago on December 27th or something like that, Schumer was for it while speaking, but voted against it. Classic big Democrats, right? So frustrating. But on the subject of Creaser, and I just saw the whole Patreon thing and how he shows his patrons at the end. On the December 27th stream, there were several people who asked if I had a Patreon. And at the time I didn't, but what I did, because, hey, you know what? Let's start off the year with, a new thing. And with the fact that other people before that stream and unprompted, like, I didn't say, hey, who thinks about this? Like, unprompted, people were asking, hey, do you have like Patreon donations? I'd love to support you. So what we have now is I have a Patreon. So let me just quickly share the proper tab. Come on, where is it? I have too many tabs open. It's a problem. There we go. So, yes, I have a Patreon now. I don't see why anyone would give me $5 or $10 a month. Like, they still said, hey, you got to create 3 tiers. And I looked at what other people around like my size channel were doing, and even talked to some people who had Patreon for a while and of different channels, and they said, yeah, this is like what I've done, and Patreon even recommended this. In fact, Patreon wanted me to charge more for this, but I'm like, no, there's not much. Anyway, so if people want to, you do not have to, but now it's a link that's there for those like 4 or 5 people over the past few months who have said, hey, have you got a Patreon? Well, for those people, now I do. So yeah, that'll like any extra money that I get from these is just going to go to a fund to get, for example, a better one of these, a better camera. Cause this one is just like, okay. I mean, it's not bad. It gets the job done, but do something better. So that's going to be like a thing now. I don't know if I'll have a way to put it in the like at the end of my videos. I'm going to find out the breakdown with WB. Hey, what's up? So, it's a thing now. Yes, I have a Patreon. Just because people like not all people, but like some people wanted it. So there we go. It's a thing. New year, new thing. That's that. And so I guess we should talk a little bit about plans for the new year. So yeah, here's the Patreon page itself. Like, okay, here we are. Just very, very simple, very bare bones, just starting stuff out. But yeah, there it is. So yeah, this brings us to some of the stuff that people can get. Fan requests. The bothered bulletin board. I would like it to be a real physical thing, especially once this wears out, because like it's getting pretty dry, like it's dropping needles every time I touch it. So I'd like to have like a bothered bulletin be a real thing that I could have here or behind me, like that I could stick up on the pantry doors or something. So I'm still working out whether that's possible or if it'll just be like a digital thing that's in video at the end of the videos. But yeah, so going to be doing some more videos. Again, the current collaboration that I'm doing with Waffle to the left, that is still happening. I should probably make one, but yeah. And what camera do I use now? This is just a what is it? I think it's in here. Yeah, it's a C920S Pro HD webcam from Logitech. So there we go. Nice and simple. So yeah, that's that. I'm gonna stop screen sharing because it's like, oh god, feels weird looking at a Patreon page. That's for me. So yeah, extra things. Like I said, Waffle to the left and I, our videos are just about done. So y'all get to hear it here first. The like honorable mentions video of like stories that didn't quite make the cut for our, top 10 positive leftist Canadian news stories of 2020. That's going to hopefully, assuming that like my internet doesn't die here or anything, that's going to go live tomorrow. Waffle's main video about the news, where I have my clips interspersed in amongst them, is going to hopefully be Wednesday. If not, then hopefully by the end of next week. And yeah, so it's like my first real like proper collaboration with another YouTuber. So it's been fun. I'm excited about it. I like how things are turning out. It's been a fun experience. I still feel kind of bad for Waffle because I've done hardly anything. I recorded some clips. I've made 2 little videos, the teaser video, which is going out tomorrow, the actual companion video, which will debut whenever he does his. So I'm just waiting for his go ahead. And then, of course, I found some memes to spice up the video of his a bit. Like that's all I did. He's doing all the he's doing like the vast majority of the editing and the audio mastering and all that. Like, oh, that poor man. So please go show him some love. Hey, here as well. Hey, cool. Thank you for bringing up the views. I appreciate it. So yeah, I know it's like we said it was going to be a belated Christmas gift of sorts, which I guess technically it is belated Christmas gift. If we get it off by January 6th, I guess that qualifies as 12th night, which is a big thing in some Christian countries. So that might still count. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what other future collaborations bring in the future. And slowly but surely saving up money from Patreon, or if anyone else gives donations, or we start to grow this Twitch stream. If things start to happen, great. Right now though, this is still very much a side gig. I just like doing this. I like being here with like every single person who's here and spending time with me on these, crazy holiday days. And yeah, like I'm kind of excited for what the future brings. Also a little nervous. But also I guess like, do I dare to be optimistic? Who knows anymore? But with that, I want to share another person. So like we just finished with Christo, but there's another person who has been very instrumental in helping me. Some of y'all might know about the Surfs, and they again were one of the earliest, like shortly after Christo followed and was retweeting some of my stuff. The Surfs got involved, which for me was great because I found out about the Surfs like through Christo one time. And I thought, oh, this is cool. This seems kind of fun. And then I found out they're Canadians. Oh, cool. Hey, more Canadians. And so having like 2 of your biggest sort of Canadian influences follow you back on social media and give you tips and encouragement and shout outs and promotions, like it's just felt so wild to me. So I wanted to, as once again with some of the good news and good vibes stream of 2021, I felt we should watch a nice little video featuring the ever so awesome Lance. So Yeah, I just love the Surf so much. They've been big advocates of me. I'm not even sure what to say except I love and appreciate them and all the support that they've shown me so far. And I just hope it continues. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, this is all about the latest story from Ontario, which, ugh.
I'm not going to believe it.
There we go.
Oh, they cut away. Of course they cut away. Of course.
Let's start
I
again.
guarantee you that's not eggnog. There's no way he found eggnog in the Caribbean. I'm not going to believe it. Oh, they cut away. Of course they cut away. Of course. Oh,
Happy New Year, JT. Happy
Drink
New
the
Year.
rancid flavor. Here's the final rub, everyone. But this is good. This is good. This is funny.
You should do a recap video called "What Bothered Me This Year."
How many people know
Too many
about what's
things.
going down in Ontario right now? In Ontario, led by Doug Ford. I'm sure you know Doug Ford of the
Yes,
Rob Ford
I know,
fame,
Lance.
the
I
Ford
live in
family,
this
of
garbage
course, famously.
province.
There's a bit of a controversy in old Canada land. One that's quite funny. You know how some people like to say The Simpsons did it? Because there's just like The Simpsons have so many episodes at this point, so many seasons, so many plots. Homer's had every single job, I think, outside of like fleshlight designer. At this point, most likely The Simpsons have done it before you've even thought about it. It turns out this is one of those cases, and this one is awesome. This one makes me very, very happy. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is under pressure after admitting that he has known for weeks that his finance minister, who faked social media posts to conceal his location, had ignored a coronavirus lockdown to go on a holiday in the Caribbean. Posts on Rod Phillips' social media accounts suggest that he remained home over Christmas, but it emerged on Tuesday that the minister flew to the island of St. Bart's in mid-December despite his own government's advice to avoid non-essential travel. On Wednesday afternoon, Ford admitted that he had learned about Phillips' tropical vacation 2 weeks ago and that he regretted not demanding his minister return immediately. He never told anyone that he was leaving. He never even told me he was leaving, said Ford, who's going to have a tough conversation with Phillips when he arrives home tomorrow. Ford previously called Phillips' trip completely unacceptable. Staff from Phillips' office said on Tuesday that the minister's trip to St. Bart's, a popular destination for wealthy travelers, was planned, but with the coronavirus cases spiraling in Canada, most populous province, calls were growing for the finance minister to resign or be fired. This one gets great, because he even went the distance to make fake social media posts about actually being home. Here it is. It's Christmas Eve. To all my constituents, he hasn't deleted this, by the way. It's Christmas Eve. To all my constituents in Ajax and people all across Ontario, Ontario is getting ravaged by COVID-19 right now. They're in a bad way. Okay, so this is extra inappropriate. All the best during this special time of year. Even as COVID-19 changes how we celebrate, we should reflect on what makes Christmas so special to us, including family and the act of giving.
Hello, everyone.
Faking things for weeks, like, you absolute fucking scumbag. Oh, God.
It's Rod Phillips, the MPP from Ajax. On this Christmas Eve, I want to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas. Now, I know that this Christmas is a bit different than Christmases in the past. We're meeting virtually and online and not able to be in person with as many family and friends as we'd like to. And I want to thank each and every one of you for what we are doing to protect our most vulnerable while we celebrate this very, very special but challenging holiday season.
There's waves
so
in the
to everyone out there, have a very Merry Christmas.
Behind him. He's in the
Enjoy
Caribbean.
a treat, some eggnog, and I hope that we can all be together soon with family.
Like, who did you have to source to find all this shit? That's what I want to know. I want to know, who did you ask? Who did you have to go up to? It's like, okay, so I'm gonna need eggnog. Like, what the fuck is eggnog, dog? Like, I've never heard of such things. Okay, it's like it's kind of like a really sugary milk. It's hard to explain. It's like if you just get me some
he was
really
in
old
St.
cream,
Bart's, so.
it'll pass. And just a yellow looking cream. We'll put that in the
Charlie
background.
Brown Christmas tree. Yeah.
I don't know if did you have gingerbread, something, just Christmas shit. Did you have a tree? You have a tree. Oh, there it is. Look at this. Look at this Caribbean Christmas tree that he managed to get. With one tinsel.
Merry
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Oh, drink it. Oh, drink the urine. Oh, he's gonna drink the cream urine. I know he is. Come on, you gotta prove it. Look at that. But that's that face. That's the face. That's the Obama face right before he had the Flint water. You know, oh, fuck me. Because it can't be. I guarantee you that's not eggnog. There's no way he found eggnog in the Caribbean. I'm not gonna believe it. Oh, they cut away. Of course they cut away. Of course. Oh, drink it. Drink the rancid flavor. Oh. Thanks, Rod. Oh, he did do one other.
And now for an emergency announcement from the mayor.
People of Springfield, because of the epidemic, I have canceled my vacation to the Bahamas. I shall not leave the city. Hey, you, get that steel drum out of the mayor's office.
Sorry, man.
Smithers, this plague doesn't scare me.
Oh, God.
And now you know the rest of the story.
What lies around the corner? Never knowing who's going to kill you. Are you the next one to be murked? You never know if it's a friend or a foe. If you want to see the biggest names in BreadTube and Left Twitch and Butterthing and I don't know the fucking names anymore, come see Left Among Us.
If you want us to advertise your channel or work, please go to wearesurfs.com and email us a 20 to 30 second ad, and we'll take it on to the end of one of our videos to help promote your leftist channel or progressive something. Whatever you do.
I did that. I sent them a quick little ad for the surfs. So yeah, good stuff. So yeah, I appreciate these people, Lance and Dave, being big advocates.
To our God, I'm Rast,
And that's all their
Xander Corvus,
patrons and
and
stuff.
Schlatsky. We shall commit
All right.
blood sacrifice.
So that's that. And there's someone else who I've started interacting with. I don't know actually much about them. I've just seen them like commenting and liking on some of my tweets. But where are they? God. Okay, here it is. Here it is. 1 second. Show the audio, show the tab. They're called Left of the Box. And they seem to be a Canadian left tuber, like the rest of us. Their name is Sandy Lovas. I may be pronouncing that wrong. And it's like, I'm a simple man, okay? So we got cats and we got politics. Right there, to me, I'm like, that should be good enough to start. So they only started a few months ago. I haven't seen really any of these videos, at least not on this account. So I'm tempted to learn a bit about Ontario's Greenbelt or Aaron O'Toole must resign. That's probably about his statements on the whole Indigenous controversy at Ryerson University. But I haven't seen this one of Ontario's Greenbelt. So I think I kind of want to watch this one. Hey, there we go. Start that again.
Short theme song intro.
Oh, yeah. Good old Doug Ford. God, I hate this province.
Hello, welcome to Left of the Box News Bites. Yep, I'm giving you another News Bites. This is like 2 in a row. Most people in Ontario have heard about the Greenbelt, but how many people actually know what it is? Before I answer that, please be sure to make a sacrifice to the algorithm god and click over the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It's super important you do this to help get my channel up and going. And as you might be able to tell with a lot of my videos, I'm kind of looking off to the side. That's because I don't have a teleprompter. That's because I don't have money. So to help me get a teleprompter and be able to look directly in the camera when I'm speaking, you can become a Patreon. And that way I can upgrade my equipment and provide better videos for your viewing enjoyment. Link in the description box below. A greenbelt is a chunk of mainly undeveloped or agricultural land that is zoned to prevent development of the area and they surround or neighbor urban centers. The benefits to having green belts are immense, including keeping drinking water clean, allowing wildlife to thrive, tourism, and creating a healthier environment. There are many green belts around the world. A few notable examples are in Australia, Iran, Thailand, and Brazil. On February 28, 2005, Ontario established the world's largest green belt. At over 2 million acres in size, it protects our farmland, forests, wetlands, rivers, and lakes. It encompasses the Niagara Escarpment, the Oak Ridges Moraine, and is the heart of the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The quality of drinking water for more than 7 million Canadians is dependent on the health of our greenbelt, and considering the population of Canada is 38 million people, that is like a percentage. I don't math. Also, the Greenbelt offsets 71 million tons of carbon each year. Many of the land features in the Greenbelt, such as the Niagara Escarpment and countless teardrop-shaped hills called drumlins, were created when glaciers crawled over the area. Runoff from the melting glaciers deposited minerals, nutrients into the ground, producing the highest quality of soil for farmland. As someone living next to Ontario's Greenbelt, I can say it gives me a sense of pride. I support local farmers as much as I can, and many of the farms are located in the Greenbelt. There is a noticeable difference in the quality of food from local farms than you find from the imports coming in. I've also gone hiking on the Niagara Escarpment at a place called Rattlesnake Point, and it is stunning. The escarpment is definitely an underrated tourist attraction in Ontario, and I recommend everyone go visit it at some point. Noted. Our Greenbelt is a treasure that should be shared with generations to come. And for people who are serious about stopping climate change, we cannot afford to lose such a vital area of land to developments. Enter Doug Ford. Back during his campaign to become leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario, this video was leaked to the media.
We will open up the Greenbelt, not all of it. We're going to open a big chunk of it up, and we're going to start building and making it more affordable and putting more houses out there. The demand for single-dwelling homes is huge, but no one can afford them.
What you just saw there was video of Ontario PC leader Doug Ford speaking to developers back in February.
Okay, yeah, a lot of people can't afford them, so then that touches on the whole capitalism problem of housing for profit. Like,
develop a big chunk of the Greenbelt. Now, that video was leaked by the Liberals in the ramp-up to the June election. I'm Natish Bisono, and behind me is part of the space Mr. Ford is talking about. Now, his idea is to develop a chunk of the Greenbelt as a way of decreasing housing prices. In fact, he thinks that that's the solution to the housing crisis in Toronto and the GTA. But according to some experts, the solution to that problem is not as easy as building along the belt.
There's something called the Oak Ridges Moraine, and that's where all the water that falls recharges our rivers. So if you think the Humber River, the Credit River, the Don River, all those rivers flowing south into the lake, that's why we protected those areas and wanted to keep subdivisions off them, and so that water quality be kept high. In addition, if you want to go to a farmer's market, you want local food, and you don't want all your food to be trucked in from California, well, you got to grow it somewhere, and up there in the Greenbelt is where it's growing now.
It's almost like experts know what they're doing in a lot of cases.
Tim Gray also adds that opening up the lands won't necessarily make housing more affordable. Instead, it might actually let speculators loose and drive up farm prices. And
this video had to be leaked because Ford knew if the public knew what he was planning, there would be pushback. And when people found out, there was pushback. Unfortunately, like many political issues, people forgot about it, and now Ford, much like what he did for Charles McVety, is fulfilling his promises to the wealthy and corporations that helped him win. The rest of the population of Ontario be damned. Bill 229 received royal assent on December 8th. By passing this bill, conservation authorities can be forced to approve developments even if the agency has concerns about the risk of flooding, and force them to make arrangements with developers that would allow them to pay a fee to destroy habitat for endangered species.
Yeah, I remember that in the news.
If it will be flooded out, and it will lead to the extinction of an endangered species. It is extremely important that conservation authorities have power in planning. They were put in charge of flood forecasting and making sure developments near waterways was done safely after Hurricane Hazel struck in 1954, killing 81 people because houses had been built on floodplains. The changes in Bill 229 will put the interest of developers ahead of science-based decision-making. The province will be allowed to overrule concerns of scientists, and if we're being real, this government will always put the wants of corporations over the needs of the people, even if our drinking water and the lives of the people living on these floodplains are put at risk. 7 members of Ford's Greenbelt Council resigned over the changes, including the chair, David Crombie, a former Progressive Conservative MP and Toronto mayor. What Ford has done upsets people across the political spectrum. When issues are broken down and politics are left out, most people find common ground and we realize we generally want the same things. I know it feels like little can be done when they have the majority in Queen's Park, but we must remember we can make a difference. The Conservatives don't speak for all Ontarians. They only won 40% of the popular vote in the 2018 provincial election. The other 60% is split between the NDP, Liberals, and
Good old
Greens,
first past the
all
post.
left-leaning parties. But because the PCs won 76 of the 124 seats, they can push through anything corporations and the wealthy want. But if enough people contact Doug Ford and their Conservative MPPs and let them know their jobs are on the line if they don't start doing what is in the best interests of the people, there will be enough pressure to prevent further destruction. To find out who your MPP is, click in the link in the description box below that I provided for you.
Praxis.
We must stay plugged into what is happening before the damage is irreversible.
Yeah, more than
Get
one
informed,
species for
get
sure.
involved.
Ugh.
I hope you found this video interesting and that the next time you vote, you feel you have a better understanding of what's on the line. Links about Ontario's Greenbelt and Bill 229 can be found in the description box, where you will also find a link to my Patreon page. You can help out financially for as little, again, as $3 a month or as much as $25 a month if you have it. I would greatly appreciate it. But I do understand times are tough. So at the cost of nothing, if you could like, subscribe, share this video, and follow me on Twitter, it will help get attention to this channel. And in the comments section below, let me know what your favorite part of the Greenbelt is. For me, it's all of it. Yep, pretty much everything about it rocks. Even rocks.
Oh, God. Terrible jokes. I
Thank you for
love
watching
them.
and stay tuned. I'm Sandy, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.
I like that. Wishing that your tomorrow's better than today. And little kitty cat, it's nice. Yeah. Alrighty then. Okay. So I've been streaming for an hour. And what we're going to do is giving people clear things aren't the way they like it, but doesn't it make things easier for those who are messing things up in the first place? I guess, like, everyone's different, right? Like, I definitely see where you're coming from, but I guess for others, the effort to them is harder than or it's worth less reward than the end result. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be that kind of person. But now what we're going to do is I'm going to give those of you who are here and for being patient with the first stream and watching some of this content that isn't mine, we're going to do something, if I can, a little special. If it'll let me. Whoa, why did that automatically go full screen? No, go away. Okay. All right. Will it let me? It will. Okay. So I have a little surprise for people. We're going to watch a little bit as a thank you for everyone being here and putting up with the scuffed stream from earlier. We are going to have a little quick peek, just, a little bit at the video that's going to drop tomorrow. The video that's dropping tomorrow is about the honorable mentions from Waffle's video. That'll be dropping later next week. And I hope that people enjoy this because I put a lot of effort into this video, more than I normally put into videos. So with that, I hope everyone likes a little sneak peek, and I hope everyone drops a nice fat like on it when it goes live tomorrow. So yeah, let's Oh, is it not going to let me share the application window audio? Oh, of course it's not, because it is a bastard. Oh, why would no? Yeah, it's not going to let me do that. It'll let me share the screen, but it wouldn't let me share the audio. Oh, damn it. I hate this so much. Why is technology like this? Okay, so then we get to see, where are we here? Let me quickly find it again. I know I had it. No, that's an old David Dole video. Ah, this one. Okay. This is another channel that I really like. We're not going to watch really anything, but I just want people to know about it because I like them. They're fun. They're good people. Jack Rackham does a lot of history stuff. Really, really like witty and funny in a kind of dry humor sort of way. He's got some great stuff. Hey.
Mega Jesus.
Why does it not do that? There's a delay on that.
But in the 1800s, dare I, it's weird to...
I also don't know why when I click, share application window, it says, yeah, it's being shared. And then I click like, hey, share it so that other people can see it. There's like this weird delay. So I don't know why it's doing that.
It's weird to think about because when you picture Brazil, you think of the Amazon and Carnival and Mega Jesus and, But in the 1800s, dare I say it, Brazil was probably the second most developed country in the Americas, depending on how you count pre-independence Canada. And with the way it was heading, it could have gone the way of the United States once the World Wars rolled around. So step with me back in time as I show you a world that might have been and where it all got screwed up. Now, if you want to change history and make Brazil the mightiest empire the world...
None of that. So, yeah, that is Jack Rackham. Does some history stuff. I love him. He's good. Also, again, we already shouted him out earlier and we rated into him earlier. Support Tristan from Step Back History. He's dope. There's a lot of great people out there. There's also all you great people who decided to show up here on this evening for just a short little makeup stream. I wanted to show you a bit of the video that I'm working on that's going to go live tomorrow, but it wouldn't let me share the stupid audio because I don't know why this thing. We'll work out the glitches. You're still awesome, and I'm excited for your next video. Keep up the learning. Thank you, Tara, and I appreciate you being here and being positive as per usual. So I hope to see everyone making some comments and giving me some feedback on tomorrow's video. Like I said, it's arguably one that I've put the most like actual editing and like time and effort into. I mean, there's some others where I've done a bit more in terms of cutting and clipping and stuff, but it was like a journey learning to make this and do some stuff with it. So I hope everyone enjoys it. I enjoyed all your company here tonight for this short little stream and to, just absolutely try and grow this Twitch stream. Yeah, I see that. Oh, hang on. Someone else has gone live since I first checked this out. I was going to raid into Hasanabi, but now I'm also seeing that Chelsea Manning is streaming Rust. And if I'm going to watch anyone play Rust, it's going to be Chelsea and not Hassan. So, yeah, if you're on YouTube, try and head over to the Twitch stream and raid with us for Chelsea. And if you're in Twitch, let's all have fun. Let's be kind because she's cool people. And with that, I say good night. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, until next time, which will definitely be tomorrow for this new video. And then every day after that, don't know what the videos are going to be. It's kind of like, whatever's bothering me that day in that moment. So with that, we're going to head off to Chelsea. I've got to make sure how to spell this. This seems to be correct. Yeah. So we're going to raid with Chelsea Manning. Oh, there's only one viewer on Twitch. Oh, this is going to be fun. Anyway, thank you, everyone. I love and appreciate you as always. Until next time, and Happy New Year. All the best in 2021.